Hello! For today's lesson we are doing a symmetrical skeleton. Symmetry is when something from one side of a shape matches identical to the other side of the shape. We're going to be making our name in the rib cage and doing the skull and different bone parts. So the first thing we need is a fresh sheet of paper. We're going to put it in portrait mode and we're going to fold it in half 2 times. So here's 1 and 2. And we're folding it in half so that it's easier to see our cut lines. We're just going to cut this into 4 quarters. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. We have our 4 pieces. We're going to take this piece to make the rib cage by drawing our name on it. I'll just keep that right there. I'm going to take this piece of paper and I'm going to fold it up right in half. And I want to be very careful that I pay attention to where my fold is. I want the fold facing down or pointing down towards my body here. You're going to use a pencil, but you're going to see me use a Sharpie. I'm going to draw my name. You can do cursive, you can print your name like that, however you like. Okay, I've got the fold at the bottom of my name here, and I'm not going to cut this yet, but I am going to take my scissors and follow around the letters as though I'm outlining it like bubble letters. And this is where you get to be creative by following all those lines in your letters, because the more bumps and dips that you have, the more interesting his rib cage looks. Okay, this is where I need to be really careful because I don't want to cut this fold completely off, otherwise then I'd have 2 separate pieces. But I do want to have these neat little holes in there. So I'll fold that back up, and I'm going to cut just little bits in here. Being really careful to make sure that I leave a good bit of that fold. You can do some big pieces, some smaller pieces. Okay, let's see how it turned out. Okay, so there's my rib cage right there. The next thing we're going to do is our skull. I'm going to show you how to cut it out symmetrically so that it will look the same on both sides. I'll use this piece of paper and I'm going to fold it in half as well. And we're going to draw the skull halfway on that side. Okay, we're drawing this portion right here. I'm going to use a Sharpie, but remember you're going to use pencil. Makes it so much easier if you need to erase something or fix a line. And I'm going to do kind of like a balloon or a half circle shape, like a half balloon, half circle shape. Bring it down kind of like this. And I'm not coming all the way to the fold because I want to have a jaw right here. So it'll come out. So it kind of looks like a keyhole. I'm going to mark about where I want the eye to be. And if you look at this guy right here, his nose is actually an upside down heart. So I'm going to do an upside down heart right here. And then I'll draw in a smile that I can cut out, just like that. So for the eye, I'll use my hole puncher. I'm going to pay really close attention to where this is right there because that's what punches that hole. And I'm going to look for my eye dot. Okay, and I'll cut out my upside down heart for the nose. And I'll cut out my smile. Okay. Cut out the rest of my skull right there. Okay, let's see how it turned out. Here's the big reveal. There we go. There's the skull. All right. For the legs and the arms, I'm going to take this piece of paper and I'm going to fold it this way instead. Okay? So this is in portrait mode. Fold it in half long ways. That gives me a lot of space to make the legs. Now when you look at this, you can see that this top bone is taller and a little bit wider than this bone. That's the same thing with this arm bone as well. So this one's bigger, that one's a little smaller. So I'm going to draw out where I want my legs to be, where I want the size of my bones on here. And I'll make the next one a little bit shorter and not so wide as that one. And again, a little bit shorter, not so wide, a little bit shorter, not so wide. Okay, so this is a leg bone, arm bone, arm bone. And because I cut them in half, because I folded my paper in half, when I cut these, then I'll end up with the right number of arms and legs. Because this is for 1, 2, 3, 4, but we'll need the other side as well, which that comes in handy. So I'll cut this. Okay, I've got 2 leg sizes and 2 arm bone sizes. So now, if I want to just leave my bones as rectangles, I can. If I want to get a little fancier, I can make a bit of a bone shape, and I'll show you how to do that now. It's really helpful if you take your pencil, I'm using marker, but you're going to use pencil, to just kind of draw out where you want those bones to be, where you want those lines to be, so that when you have your scissors you can cut it just how you want it. So I'll do some guidelines in there, and I can just follow those. I want that to be rounded. Okay, now because this was folded, when I cut it, I did 1 cut, but I ended up with 2 bones. And I don't need them to stay connected anymore, so I can pull them apart or use my scissors. So that's how you do a bone. And I would go ahead and I would cut these as well. But I'll pause the video and do that and then come back. Okay, I've got a lot of my pieces cut out. I do have this extra piece of paper if I want to do anything extra on there. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my glue and glue these down. And before I glue them down, it's a really good idea to kind of place things where I want them to go. Make sure I have enough room with where I've set them. And what's really fun is you can kind of position these legs, so maybe he's running, you know. His little feet here. I don't know, you get to be creative on that bit there for how you want him to be positioned. Or maybe it's a girl skeleton, I don't know. You get to decide. Put those arms in there. A cute little hand is waving. So once I have this all laid out, then I can go ahead and get my glue and glue it all together. And then I can take my my white crayon and decorate. Maybe I want some spider webs or other bones or a ghost or whatever. But there you have it. There's your skeleton.